Okay, it's January the 19th, 2020. George Webb here on the Diplomatic Back Channel. And just wanted to make a correction on another channel that I saw. Jason Goodman had Charles Ortel and David Hawkins together, and they were talking about several topics, but the topics came around to blackberries and rat lines and how blackberries are used or were used for these rat lines. And they mentioned that David Hawkins mentioned the Phantom Secure in Canada and the bust in 2018 through the RCMP. And Jason made the comment that George only said Imran Awan was the sole BlackBerry mastermind. And I just wanted to point everyone to the Webb report. The Webb report it does start out with the Awan blackberries, that's the A, but the B's are Biden blackberries. The C's are the CrowdStrike blackberries, which is Dmitry Alperovich, and D, we get into the DNC blackberries, all of them configured by Dmitry Alperovich. We talk about Gonter is G for configuring the blackberries for Hunter Biden and so forth. So we get into a lot of other people than just Imran Awan. Now, Imran Awan is important, just like Dmitry Alperovich is important, because they control the servers, they control the blackberries, and I'm trying to get to the center of this network. So that's why those guys are important. But Phantom Secure is also very important, and what maybe people don't understand is that if you have separate codes, you can create virtual private networks among different groups and different gangs. So if you had, let's say you're going to bring in a bunch of Butinas and Bogachevas and Krylovas, a bunch of NATO Oconus lures, you could have one BlackBerry code, which would just let people amongst your group, your enclave, your conclave, to talk to each other securely. No one else could see that. It would be a secure access program. That's why the secure access programs used BlackBerry. By the same token, if you wanted to run a drug network, you could, with a different encryption key, an encryption code or key, you could run a separate network. You could have as many motorcycle gang drug networks as you want. And we did several stories about these being run by NATO forces, or sort of the darker side of NATO in Europe for these Dutch motorcycle gangs. We talked about Phantom Secure being used by gangs all over the world for drug running. We talked about the Sinaloa cartel using them. We talked about the young executive that was killed. We've done a lot of stories on blackberries. I just quickly looked here. I've done over 55 videos with BlackBerry in the title, over 40 videos with CrowdStrike in the title. Who knows how many times I've mentioned Dmitry Alperovich's name, certainly in the hundreds. Mentioned Gonter's name, configuring BlackBerries in the hundreds, Hunter Biden's name many, many times. Bill Taylor, who was involved with the BlackBerries numerous times. So in no way have I said just Imran Awan is the sole person. We talked about the whole spy ring around Imran Awan, which is Rayo Abbas and Hasib Rana and all the other people that were configuring BlackBerries. And in no way do I think that Phantom Secure is invalid. I think Phantom Secure is a spinoff of the same root tree, the same source code that Dmitry Alperovich has spun off all of these. NATO controls the drug trade in Europe, and they use this encryption scheme, this PGP encryption scheme that was ported over to BlackBerry when I was at McAfee, or when I was at Network Associates, and we owned McAfee, and they were the ones doing this porting when Dmitry Alperovich ported this. I've told this story, I can't count how many times, and I just wanted to correct the record for those who thought, somehow I thought just Imran Awan was configuring the BlackBerries. He's obviously very important because Nancy Pelosi calls him in for a no-staff meeting. Imran, get in here. Obviously, we have other Wikipedia showing that he and only he knows the keywords and the passwords to the DNC servers when all the people around Debbie Wasserman Schultz don't. So obviously, he's an important person to get to the network, this whole idea of exposing the network. But in no way do I think just he is the sole person doing BlackBerries. And I do think Phantom Secure is the same root code. Again, NATO, Canada, a NATO country, the same root code was given by the RCMP to Phantom Secure to create a whole host, a whole new branch of encrypted conclaves for this illegal drug trade around the world.